Welcome back, episode 11, Chico and the Grin. We're here Thursday night, as always.
Yep.
I'm here, I'm Chico, and I'm with my friend.
The Grin.
And we are ready for episode number 11. We've had, last Friday, about a week ago, we decided to go ahead and go to the Met to go see the Michealangelo exhibit.
That we did.
Grin was kind enough to bring me in his member's pass since he's a member and I'm not.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Amazing exhibit. Since you are the real artist amongst the two of us,
Don't say that.
Why don't you give us your opinions? Well, you're an illustrator, you're a painter, you draw, you do the same kind of stuff that Michealangelo does. I have no experience with that, so why don't you give us your take on how the exhibit was and what you thought about it overall?
I'm going to honestly say Michealangelo wasn't on my list of, like, top artists.
How dare you?
No, but it's like it's like Brand Nubian, the group. You know, it's like people love them, but I just never grew up on them, so I never listened to them. Same thing with Michealangelo. It's like I knew about him, I just never studied him.
I got you.
But I knew, like, once I started getting into clay sculptures a couple of years ago, everybody was saying Michelangelo's the man, Michelangelo's the man. So it was like I started learning about him from then. But that's only like a couple of years. You know, I never really like dived in to like the man's work. I just knew him as a sculpture artist. He was the man for being a sculpture artist. And so when I heard about the exhibit, of course it strikes a curiosity, and I was like, well, I know the Met is going to do a great job. Because normally they do a great job, except for that Rodin exhibit. And they were like, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I was like, oh, okay, so let me start studying a little bit. I did like a crash course on him. Like I said, I knew some things, I just didn't know a lot. So, but when we went to the exhibit, man, I was kind of blown away. You know, it was like, how could I describe it verbally? You just see the transition of his career.
Yeah.
You know, I wish they would have had stuff from when he was younger. That would have been cool. But I bought the book, so hopefully I'll learn a little bit more. You know, funny thing, side note, I've been to the Met so many times in a year, over the years, you know, since I lived in New York. And I never bought this many books. I went there 2 times this week and I bought 3 books.
It's a lot of books.
Every time I go to the Met, I always go to the gift shop. You know, I always check out what they have. I always look for a sketchbook. They never have a good sketchbook. But I always buy like a postcard, something just to collect.
I buy the postcards.
You know, from an exhibit. I got like a book of postcards I've been keeping. But yeah, it was funny, man. It was like I bought 3 books this visit alone. You know, 2 from the Michealangelo and then 1 from the war illustration exhibit, which I really liked that exhibit. That was
that speaks to the exhibit, right? If the exhibit's that good and the work's that good, it's gonna make you want to take something home so you can look at it again.
And I'm glad the first time I went on a war exhibit, I went there the first time. They didn't even have a book.
Right.
For it.
And then when we went back with you,
they made one. I was like, and it's a cheap book.
Yeah,
so it's not
huge.
But I'm glad that they did that because that exhibit I liked. I was like I was saying when we were there, I was like, yo, if there's ever a job for an artist in the war, I would be a war artist, man.
It was a cool job.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and the work really reflects the time period. It's like a very 20s, 30s, 40s look of art, of illustration, which was pretty cool.
I would say that's one of my favorite exhibits this year.
I mean, I only looked at it briefly, and it looked really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Michealangelo exhibit, I thought it was great. I don't know a lot about him. I've been learning a lot about him as in the recent months leading up to the exhibit.
Yeah.
The amount of work that they have, and I think I told you when we were there, I was just impressed with how old everything was and how it's still surviving.
Yeah, man.
And it's like looking at, so like you go to the museum, like you go to like the Museum of Natural History, and you see some fossils.
It's all fake.
Yeah, but you see it and you're like that's like old, like that's like a couple million years old.
Allegedly.
Yeah. And but it's that number's so astronomical that it's like it's believable. You're like, all right, whatever. There's no way that I could ever relate to anything that old. But you go to the Michealangelo exhibit and you see a piece of paper, and the guy drew this in like 1475.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that was drawn by a human, however many hundreds of 300-400 years ago.
I think like 4, yeah.
400 years ago.
Something like that.
And it's a simple drawing. It's just it's hard to explain without seeing it. But you've always you grew up hearing about the famous artists of the centuries: Da Vinci, Michelangelo,
the Ninja
Turtles. That's right, Donatello,
Raphael.
You see, but to see the actual work, to see statues carved by a guy 300-400 years ago that's world famous, that's worth millions of dollars. It's something else. And then they had the thing in the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah,
which
the
was
projection.
Yeah, which was
That was
also
great,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean the whole exhibit is. I mean, and they said Michelangelo didn't even like drawing or painting.
No.
And he was amazing at it.
Yeah, he didn't. From what I read about him, he didn't really. He only got it. He only became a painter to further push his understanding of 3D and sculptures. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I read. And he was always known for saying, yeah, he's a sculpture artist, not a painter. You know, even though he did magnificent work, and that just shows like the caliber of the Renaissance. You know, like we're both reading a book on Da Vinci, right, by Walter Isaacson, right?
Yep.
Right. It's a great book, man. And in that book, they break down in detail how people were apprenticed, the work how they would all collaborate on one painting to learn the styles, and it was like, man, just reading about the era of art and creativity in the Renaissance it's amazing. Like walking through that exhibit, the main thing on my mind was like, you don't work enough. Like I do not work enough. No, as much as I think I work and study art and I draw and I doodle and I'm designing all, like I don't work enough. The shit that was in that exhibit that this man created was like, and it was all by hand. Nothing, no digital shit. It was just like
no YouTube to go figure out how to do something.
Measurements and accuracy, and it was just like, oh man, it was like a kick in the ass. It's like you don't work hard enough.
I mean, as an artist, if you go to these exhibits, especially the Michelangelo one, you'll see the amount of work that he created, and what they have on display is only a small fraction of it. The book that we're reading, the Da Vinci biography by Walter Isaacson, it's phenomenal. I recommend you go pick it up. Funny, we can transition to that real quick. I have a buddy who runs a really popular YouTube channel, The Art of Photography. His name's Ted Forbes, and he used to work at the Dallas Museum of Art.
Okay.
And he saw my post on Facebook about the recently sold Da Vinci book.
The painting.
The painting that went for $430 million. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but the Dallas Museum of Art actually had that painting in their possession. It was in their basement, and he would walk by it all the time and see it. Wow. It was just sitting against a wall. Okay. Because at that time, they didn't know it was a Da Vinci.
Oh, okay.
So it was in the possession, and he was texting me. He was like, yeah, I'd walk by it all the time. And when they discovered that it was potential Da Vinci, you'd have really famous people coming in every day for a private tour just to look at it with the idea that maybe they'd want to buy it. And he rattled off a list of some celebrities that had gone to go see it. But it's pretty interesting that they found that, and they only realized that it was a Da Vinci by X-raying it and seeing the underdrawings. Okay. And being able to figure out that it was that it might. They still say there's still a possibility that it might not be. Yeah. But they're very certain that it is.
Weren't you telling me about a documentary or something I should watch about a recent Da Vinci with the underdrawings?
Right. So I totally forgot to look it up. I'll find it for you tonight. Okay. But it's a documentary about a guy who's obsessed with X-raying old paintings. Okay. And because you can see the underdrawings of the paintings and the levels and the stages that the artist went through to create it. And it's very interesting. And they were doing it at the Duomo, that big fresco that they have on the wall. They X-rayed it, and he, if I remember right, he postulated said there is another painting behind it, one that Da Vinci was never finished.
Yeah, but what are they going to do with that?
Well, the problem is, in order to get to it, they have to drill a hole through the existing fresco to get a sample of what's back there.
Fuck.
What they want to do is they want to remove the fresco that's there. And this is, if I'm remembering correctly, they want to remove the fresco that's there and then pull out whatever's back there to preserve it. But they don't think that they can successfully remove the fresco that's on there now without permanently damaging.
Yeah, you're going to fuck it up.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll get you the link. I'm pretty sure I remember. I mean, that's what I remember watching. It was very interesting. And I forget how I wormholed that because I went from one thing to another and ended up on that. I think it's because I watched that documentary, Tim's Vermeer.
I've seen that one, yeah.
Where the guy uses
that genius guy.
Yeah, he goes back and he
the Maya Lucida, not the lighting and all that, yeah.
Which was also
That's his book.
Yeah, which was also
David Hockney.
Yeah, which was also very interesting to watch. If you've never seen Tim's Vermeer, go watch that. It's very interesting how he did that. Yeah. How he pieced Vermeer's painting style that uses such very realistic light. I won't spoil it. Go watch it. But I watched that, and then that led me to something about Da Vinci, which led me to this guy who's X-raying art.
Speaking of Da Vinci, there was a document. Well, I can't call it a documentary, but it was more like a I guess a documentary / movie that came out recently, and I've been trying to find it online. But it's supposed to be good. It's narrated by, I don't want to say not the guy who played Magneto, some British guy.
Yeah.
But it's a modern movie, like based on his inventions and stuff. It's supposed to be good. But I've seen it when it came out. I saw the trailer when it came out, but I never saw the movie. But back to the Michelangelo thing. It kicked me in the ass, and it was a big like I think I just finished doing like the Inktober's, right? And that was a lot of work. It was like drawing something every day for a month, right? And then designing every day. It kind of like, I don't want to say I'm drained, but I don't want to force myself to create art.
Right.
Right. I want to come home, chill, and then if I want to draw, I want to draw. But going to that exhibit, it was like, nah, man. Nah, like that's not the way to do it. You know, draw every damn day. Make something every day, no matter what. And I like that. I like seeing that, you know, rather than like somebody telling me, oh, you should draw every day. It was like seeing somebody do it and it never be satisfied with his work and just keep working at it and keep working.
Well, that's the genius of you're right. That's the genius of Michelangelo. I mean, he was obsessed, and the same thing with Da Vinci. They were obsessed about their craft. And
You know, Michelangelo didn't like Da Vinci.
Really?
Yeah, he was younger coming up, and he thought his style was like, he thought he was a lazy person.
Man, even Da Vinci had haters. What is up with that?
I always read about that, even before I knew like the details of it. They just didn't. I don't know if Da Vinci liked him, but I knew Michelangelo didn't like Da Vinci.
I don't know. That's weird to not. I mean, I don't know.
Different age groups, though.
I guess, yeah. What was I saying? So if you, from looking at the exhibit, you can tell like he did studies on the anatomy. Like he would draw just like an arm pointing.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you feel like, I don't know, but how you feel, but if you're looking to create art every day, you could always do something like that. You know, one piece of art a day, and it could just be a body part or, you know, the human figure in a pose.
Yep.
A very basic sketch. And that's how these guys got so good at drawing the body. I mean, Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, you know, all the bodies, they look realistic. The way they're contorted and laying down and pointing, like it's a thing of beauty. It's very
real manly though.
That's true.
But yeah, you can't. Well, there was that one piece. I don't remember the name of it. It was all tonal, and I think it has something to do with a lake or a river, or people coming out of water or something. But it was like just muscles and movements and just contortion. I might have it in a book.
Was it the one with all the people?
Let me see.
With the hands coming out of the water?
Something like that.
Yeah, that was the one that freaked me out. That was the one that we were looking at, and it was all these people wrestling and choking and killing each other. And then you had the two hands coming out of the water. I forget the name of it. It was an oil painting. That's a big ass book. Jesus.
It smells good too. It smells like an old book.
Well, it's infused with the dead ashes of Michelangelo.
Shit, I don't know.
Don't worry about it. It's all right. We'll find it later. Yeah, so the exhibit was good, and then afterwards we ended up going to Uno's and stuffing our face with food.
Yeah.
That deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody
Uno's
says.
was good.
It was good. It was better than
what I thought.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a while. I remember there was one down there by West 4th. I went there a few times, but then they closed it.
Yeah. There was one down the seaport by the Brooklyn Bridge, and that got blown away when Hurricane Sandy rolled through.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
So let's talk about the Da Vinci painting that they've sold.
Yeah.
$430 million. If you haven't seen it, it's a picture of Christ. It's called Salvador Mundi. Salvador Mundi. I guess Savior of the World.
I could have swore that was a character out of Batman.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. Yeah, Salvador.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Because I played the video game, and I'm like, I know that's there's a Batman character similar to that. It's not Clayface. Whose name is that? One of those guys.
Yeah. The painting itself is very Da Vinci-esque. Kind of reminds me of the Mona Lisa a little bit.
Okay.
But Da Vinci has that style of painting where all the lines are like blurred, right? I forget what it's called. I've read it in the book a few times, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But you look at it, and it's for me, it creeps me out for other reasons. But it's a very
And he's holding an orb.
yeah.
Right?
He's like has hands out or something. But like when you look into his eyes, it's kind of I don't know. There's a feeling I get when I look at this painting, and it kind of creeps me out. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that painting?
I mean, I just think it's a guy who's supposed to look like Jesus, right?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. The image comes from Caesar Borgia,
Yeah.
right? Second son of Pope Alexander. That's where they got that image from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the image that they're basing Christ off of. But I don't know. I mean, to me, like, I'm not a fan of religious artwork like this.
Neither am I, but there's something about it that really gets me.
I think it's just the lighting.
Yeah.
Just honestly, I mean, if you look at it, it's like, on his face, it's real illuminated. You know, it's glowing. It's kind of trippy. I ain't gonna lie when you look at it.
But like, look at his face. It freaks me out.
It's trippy. But one thing about the Renaissance artists that I started to do was that they all used geometry.
Yeah.
People call it sacred geometry, but it was not sacred. It's just geometry. I wish they would have taught me that when I had problems with math in school.
Yeah.
You know, if a teacher just said, "Hey, John, this can help you with your art," I'm like, "Oh shit, I wouldn't have felt like a retard taking math."
Giving you incentive to figure it out.
Now I use geometry all the time. You know, I use the golden ratio and all of that. You know, or even the rule of thirds. You know, when I'm sketching and stuff. But yeah, it's a trippy painting.
I don't know, but think about it. Think about this. Somebody paid $430 million for that.
And then why is he holding a globe or an orb
Secrets.
with 3 dots?
Secrets.
Dun, dun, dun.
Da Vinci Secrets.
Dun,
I can't wait for Dan Brown to write a book about this.
I'm looking forward to his next one.
What's his
The
next
Lost Symbol. The movie, I mean.
Oh, well, I have the
Yeah.
book. I got to bring it so you can check it out. The book's not bad. But what does it say? So $430 million. Who can say they got Da Vinci money? Like, that's crazy. Oh, that's even creepier. It's black and white. Why? Is that the X-ray?
I guess.
Oh, fuck that. That's freaky. I don't like that.
Yeah.
For those who are listening, John clicked on something and it's showing the painting, and then it's showing a black and white version. I get that we're assuming is the X-ray of it. Impressive, but terrifying. Like, look at his eyes in the color version. They're like, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
But also think about how fucking old this thing is.
Mm-hmm.
I also heard that it was very heavily restored.
Ah, that sucks.
Yeah, I heard that it's very, very heavily restored because of how bad it was in the condition it was. It was in a private collection when the museum bought it, and they had to have somebody come in and restore the shit out of it. Impressive nonetheless that somebody was able to do that.
I went to
imagine being the restoration artist that had to work on a Da Vinci.
There's a movie.
How much do you think that pays?
Not a lot. There was a movie called, well, there's 2 actually. One movie was with John Travolta.
Okay.
I forgot. I think it was called The Forger. That was actually good. It was good.
Forger.
Yeah, where he was like an art.
Was it Ghost Dog good?
No, it was like good. It was watchable.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't like Ghost Dog was watchable because I love martial art flicks. You know, but this one was I was kind of surprised because John Travolta plays an ex-con.
Mm-hmm.
He gets out and then he goes back to kind of the life of crime of forging paintings, but the way everything about the movie was kind of cool. And then there was another movie about an art forger, and it was a kid. I'm just putting him out there because we mentioned art restoration. So the kid, he was good at doing restoration jobs, and he made a somewhat of a living at it. But then people found out like, oh, you can do this, you can do that, make a fake one. It was like a whole network of just like people who sold fake paintings. There's actually a documentary on Netflix about that. Bellatracci or something. Yeah.
Bellatracci.
I think it's Bellatracci.
Oh yeah, the guy who's renowned, who got arrested, right? He was selling fake artwork, and he was painting them himself.
Wolfgang Bellatracci.
Yeah. I heard about that guy.
Yeah.
But imagine
the art of forgery.
Yeah, but I mean, he must really be talented then.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past people, but you got to be into that world.
Yeah.
Like, damn. Speaking of that, because we're talking about art forgery now, there's a show that I love. It's called White Collar.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard of
and
that.
I know it's kind of like the reason I love it is because most of the crimes that they deal with are art crimes.
Okay.
Right? They have all types of other white collar crimes, but throughout the 5 seasons of the show, they're always focused. The main focus is art crimes and shit. And the actors are okay, but the storyline and once they get involved into like the art scene, I love it because it's like, even though some of the stories and some of the people they talk about are made up, but they show you like what goes on into like the art. There was a few times where the main character, who's a criminal, and he's the forger, and he talks about like, they have to go find like all these old books from like 1400s, whatever, because the old books have the cotton paper that they could use to make the canvas. So it's like this. It's all these elaborate things, and they talk about, when they make the paint, they can't just use oil paint. They got to have paint that has like this certain type of chemical, and they got to get all these crazy ingredients to make like this basic blue.
Right.
Because they know if somebody tests it, they'll figure out that this is a fake. So that's one thing I would enjoy about the show.
Yeah, I mean, they did that too in Tim's Vermeer when he had painting. He had to make his own paints because the paints weren't the paints that they have now aren't the same types.
And I never took up oil painting. I always painted with like acrylic, gouache, and watercolor. But one thing I liked about oils was like back in the day, people would make their own paints, and now it's like everything is very toxic. I mean, I don't know if it was toxic back then. I never worked with oil, but I like the idea of making your own paints, making your own colors, grinding the stuff together to make like the tube of paint.
You should try it. That could be a fun That could be a fun experiment.
Well, at the Art Students League, they have the classes.
Oh, on how to do it?
Yeah. Well, not on how to make the paint, but on just oil classes.
Oh, okay.
So I always thought about taking the intro class, like maybe on a Saturday or something.
Oil paints like the high end type of painting, like when you like are oil painters like the masters.
I wouldn't say they're the masters, but if you really care about art and you're really into making art, you should definitely paint in oil.
Is it just more permanent?
It lasts longer, looks better.
Punchier colors.
Yeah.
Is it just messy? What's the downside to it? Why is it hard?
The downside is that one, it takes a long time to dry.
How long?
I don't know.
Oh.
2, it's very toxic, so you have to paint and like open. Like I have this video from Sean Barber, who's a great oil painter and tattoo artist. I mean, his dude is like amazing. And he has in his video, he talks about how to set it up, and he tells you how to set up your palette, and he breaks down like how to set up the oils. And what he goes into is just like, you need a turpentine, you need this chemical, you need that chemical, you need water, I'm like, you didn't even get to the paints yet. It's just stuff. This just the stuff to clean. And he's like, yes, keep it by a window. And I was like, this is just your setup that you're breaking down. You're not even talking about just the use of painting.
Jesus.
Just the setup. I was like, this is too much for me. That's why I stick to acrylic, or I really like gouache. Gouache is nice and watercolor, but I get tired of acrylic sometimes.
I say jump head into the oil. Just do it. Go to take that class, learn about painting in oils, and then just make your own.
The Art Students League is a nice place. The sculpture artists I took there, the class I took, it kind of fucked me up, but I ain't gonna talk down about the place. Pretty good place.
There you go.
Yeah.
Arts free
but
promo.
This is Sean Barber stuff.
That looks really cool. That's trippy.
Stuff is huge, man.
Well, he painted a bathroom.
I went to one of his shows, and because he does portraits now. That's the main thing he does now is like portraits of tattoo artists. Why is this only one thing showing? What the fuck? But his portraits are huge.
Oh yeah, this guy. I've seen his work.
I have that postcard.
Yeah, I've seen this guy. Didn't he have an exhibition in the city not too long ago?
Yeah, like
a couple years ago?
Maybe 2 years ago
Yeah,
now.
yeah, I remember that, yeah. I wanted to go, but I never made it out.
Yeah.
That's cool. If for those listening, we're looking at a painting.
Of Shige.
Yeah, it looks like it's a 3-panel painting of a Japanese tattoo artist.
Yeah, Shige.
Covered in tattoos, and he's nude, covering his junk.
Shige from Yellow Blaze.
And it's in different, he's standing in different positions, so he's going from his back towards his front and then to his back again.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, Sean Barr. I follow his work for a long time. I don't have any of his books yet, but I know I should get one of his
Slack
books.
and Smalls.
Yeah, man.
And that's all oil?
This is all oil.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense. I wonder how long that piece took him.
I don't know.
Probably took him.
He seems like he cranks them out. And one thing I like about this cat.
He's probably working on tons of pieces at the same time.
And he has a tattoo studio now, right? Mm-hmm. And he does art classes there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he'll put them on Instagram, and it's like people come through, set up like the easels, sketches, or paints or whatever, and they'll just study something and just paint. And I was like,
That sounds like a good opportunity. Where's this studio at?
in San Francisco.
You should fucking go.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'll go with you. I don't even
give a
paint.
fuck.
I'll paint just a big dick.
Huh.
It's an oil painted dick.
Oh, yeah, I like his style. You know, right now I'm focused on the illustration stuff, but you know, I'm going to get back into the sculpting stuff, especially after this exhibit. It really it made me think about. That's why I threw away some sculptures, man.
Really?
Yeah, I got rid of like the shitty ones.
You gotta keep the shitty ones to remind yourself where you came from.
But see, that's the thing is like with the sculptures I went through a phase. Like the stuff you see on my shelves is like the stuff that I did on my own, right? And I feel like the things, my sculptures went shitty once I started trying the traditional way and the techniques, and I was reading books about it rather than just creating it.
Right.
So I want to go back to just like those where it was just me creating what I wanted to do without any other influence.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I feel like I'm talking about too much art.
No, that's fine. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I didn't have anything on the agenda.
Anything that has been on your mind lately? Anything of the paranormal sort?
I mean, that's always on my mind. I'm kind of mad that I'm mad about a few things. Not really mad, but I'm mad. I'm bothered.
Tell me
that
why.
I can't go on YouTube and just get lost in a hole anymore, man.
Uh-oh.
That shit used to make my day when I was like, okay, because you know how you go to work. Well, you can't right now
Not
because
anymore, yeah.
you're not at a desk. But you know, you be at work. You don't want to listen to podcasts. Don't want to listen to music. Oh, okay. Let me log on to YouTube and just jump down a rabbit hole and listen to a bunch of shit all day. And now it's like, no, I can't because it's all crap.
I've noticed that.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually cleaned up my
Pisses me
YouTube
off,
account a lot to like what I'm subscribed to, because it was just getting too cluttered and I wasn't seeing the things that I actually wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've noticed like I'll type in a crazy conspiracy, I'll watch a video, and then normally you would get a bunch of things, and they're even taking that away now. YouTube's taking away recommended videos.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so now that little bar in the corner that has all the similar videos is gonna go away.
That sucks.
So now you won't have the hole to jump down of.
Yeah, it's like, and then the videos that are up, they're like robotic voices,
Yeah.
picture. I'm like,
And then YouTube's cracking down on that as well. They're eliminating the ease of which it is to find these kind of videos because it's detrimental. It's like it's like they're putting it under fake news.
yeah,
And maybe it is, but it's still fun to watch.
fucking entertaining.
Yeah.
I remember when we first started talking about the podcast, I was like, one of the ideas I was gonna have was I was gonna rate these videos, like from like okay, bullshit to like, what was it? I think the Fed's gonna come get you or some shit.
Oh yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
I was gonna have a little section of just rating videos because it was like I was watching so many
We
of
can
them.
still do that.
I save them now, but I notice that every time I go into my account, it always shows up on my playlist. Like this has been deleted.
Yeah.
So like now I'm gonna start downloading them from YouTube, and it's like just keeping them, man, the good ones.
Yeah, that's a good idea because YouTube's taking down a lot of those videos. Every time I go to my favorites list, I see a bunch of videos that I like that were just removed.
Yeah.
I think I actually may have that documentary thing I was telling you about, the X-ray one. I probably have it saved to my favorites.
Yeah, just send me a link.
Yeah, I'm gonna have, that's. I remember watching it. I'm pretty sure I sent it to you at one point because I was. But
In the chat?
yeah, probably.
Chat. Okay, I can go back
Probably.
and scroll up and see.
Yeah, I mean it might be gone. We our chats go deep.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, YouTube's cracking down on that, so that's going the way of the dodo. There's not. Oh, man, I miss the days of seeing really creepy conspiracy videos on YouTube.
Yeah, it was like I say, man, I love a good what if. I like when things make me think. And one of the things that constantly making me think, when I go on Instagram and I see this stuff, and it's entertaining, but man, I'm not a flat Earth guy.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not.
We went so long without talking about this.
I'm not. But
This fucking guy.
you know how they say the Earth is an oblong shape?
Yes.
I want to see a picture of that.
They have pictures of that.
I haven't seen them.
NASA produces those photos.
I haven't seen them.
Smalls. we're not Smalls. NASA produces.
I never said the Earth wasn't round or any shit like that.
But
So just to be clear,
But there are photos.
I haven't seen them.
What do you mean you haven't seen them?
I haven't seen them.
You can Google them right now. For everyone who's listening, let me just clarify what's...
Oh yeah, there was a website that I found which is like supposed to give you like a satellite image.
Yes, there's a high resolution. There's a Hasselblad camera on a Japanese satellite, and it takes a photo every couple minutes, and then it stitches them together so you can see the circular shape of the Earth.
But see, look at this photo, right? It's a perfect circle.
Right, because that's how it's stitched together.
But it's not supposed to be a perfect circle, is what I'm saying.
Oh, here we go.
If it's supposed to be an oblong shape,
Right.
it's supposed to go wider at the equator.
And that is wider at the equator. Slight is not a perfect.
Slight.
That's not a perfect circle.
Yeah, well,
You're killing me, Smalls.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. The Earth is not flat.
Never said it was.
I know, but I'm just telling you.
Oh.
I'm just reiterating.
No. I never said the Earth was flat or anything like that. No.
So what are you insinuating?
Well, I always believe that of course they lied to us about space. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, but I don't think they lied to us about the shape of our Earth.
All I'm saying is like, if the Earth was supposed to be like a weird shape,
right? But right. I think you're exaggerating the oblongness. Is that a word?
Maybe I am.
It might just be a slight. Because a circle's 360 degrees.
Yes.
I think if it was 359 degrees or whatever the measurement would be so slight you wouldn't be able to notice. Da Vinci would notice.
As I said, I don't believe that the Earth is flat. Just to be clear.
You want to go into space to check for yourself?
No. I would love to go into space if I had the chance.
I wouldn't. There's definitely aliens up there eating people.
I want to go to space. I want to go to Alaska.
I don't want to do any of that.
Yeah, man.
You know what's in Alaska? Bears. Crazy white people.
You know.
Bears. More crazy white people that have pet bears.
I want to learn how to skin it, like cook meat, all that shit, man. I would love to live off the grid.
Fortunately, that's not possible anymore thanks to our government. They don't want us living off the grid. They want to know exactly where we are so they can come get our guns.
That's why I like having people in Texas.
Texas is next.
Nah. Not happening.
Did you know that the most heavily armed man in America is a Jew who lives in Colorado?
No, I didn't know that. Yep. What makes him the most heavily armed man in America?
He has some crazy number of guns valued at some crazy number. He owns a tank.
Oh, shit.
He has a ranch in Colorado.
Yeah.
There's a video of him online. He has a ranch in Colorado. He has tanks. He has guns. He has signs all over his property that says "Do not trespass, or I will shoot you." His wife. They were doing a TV show on him on A&E, I think. And during the filming, there was like a smoke canister to create like a smoke effect. One of them exploded and killed his wife.
Oh,
went
shit!
Right through her. And when he spoke about it, he goes, "Yeah, we were in the smoke. It blew up, went right through my wife, killed her." Not an ounce of emotion on his face.
Yeah, but what's he gonna do with all that shit? He's one guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was the hell?
But he has hundreds of thousands of guns.
Was he like the Flash? He's gonna run from a gun to RBG to a tank and run back and just keep shooting.
I don't know, but like he's
Speed Force.
He's from New York. He's from the Bronx.
Yeah.
And he now lives in Colorado. He's an old guy. He's got just all the guns in the world.
So he's old too.
Yeah, he's gonna die soon.
So what the fuck? A gun's gonna knock him. He's gonna shoot a gun and fall to the ground.
Probably. But I mean, they're probably gonna turn his place into like a museum or a gun museum or something.
That's what that's like we talked about before. We're both for self defense and shit, right? And weapons, but I don't understand how people want to have like these arsenals when it's just you.
It's peace of mind.
It's like
I think a lot of it's like baseball
it's not even
cards.
practical.
It's like baseball cards or like Pokemon cards. You get one and there's a thrill, and then you have all this money. Like this guy clearly is wealthy. When you have that kind of money, you can buy crazy shit, like a Leonardo da Vinci painting for $430 million.
Yep.
There's no reason why you need a Da Vinci. There's no reason why you need 300 guns. It's like a thing. It becomes an addiction. Yeah. You buy one, you're like, oh, that's cool, I want that one.
Like people who buy a bunch of geese.
Right.
Can't roll
Essentially, they all do the same thing. Yeah. They all just look slightly different.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. You have to have it. Once you buy one, you got to have the next one. You got to have the next one. You got to have the next one. And eventually, before you know it, you just have them all. And you're that guy.
Yeah. I still would like to live off the grid.
I'd still like to have 300 million guns.
Fuck that. I'll take a rifle, a
Imagine
shotgun,
just
and
having
a
like
handgun.
a throne made of rifles. You just sit on the throne, just a rifle throne.
It won't be comfortable.
It's fine. Knowing that you're secure is all the comfort you need. Just kill somebody with your fucking throne of rifles.
Huh. I think we're going into like a strange place. That's what's honestly been on my mind. Like I know
As a society,
as a global society, not just America. I think we're just moving into a strange time right now. I think we're in a transition period.
we definitely are.
I don't know.
Society's going completely different.
I don't know if it's good or bad. I just know it's going to be a transition period.
I think when this is all said and done,
AI is getting bigger and better. Yeah.
Robots are going to take over. But I think when this transition period's over, society is going to look very different, and there's going to be a whole different set of people calling the shots in most governments. And we see that already with people like up in Canada with Trudeau, what is it, Justin Trudeau. And in France with the guy that's over there now, I forget his name, the Frenchman, who had a terrible portrait done of him, the new president, whatever. Really progressive. I think to be very progressive, which is not all bad.
I hate that word.
Yeah, so do I. But it's going to be, it's going to be, unfortunately, in my opinion, more closed-minded to freedoms in general. When it comes to speech, when it comes to liberty, my views. I like freedom. Leave people alone. As long as they're not hurting anybody, there's no reason to interfere with them.
That's the problem with progressives. Is like they want to sit there and say stuff, but I'm like, you're actually, what you're arguing about is exactly what you're doing.
Yeah,
it's like
it's a regressive.
I can't do this, but you can. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
It's a very weird. It's a very weird time, and it's a very weird ideology. They want to talk about. They want to control communication. They want to control speech. They want to control how people interact with each other.
Well, you already saw that coming a while ago.
Yeah, but every day it gets worse and worse. And with all these things coming out now, every day, it literally seems like every single day there's a new sexual scandal. Like somebody got groped. It started with Weinstein. It went to Kevin Spacey. Now I saw something about Sylvester Stallone, which you should have seen coming because fucking Stallone, 80s, 70s sex icon. George Takei. He's got an allegation now. Apparently, he grabbed somebody's dick. It's just it's very strange how somebody was like, imagine who was it? It was like imagine. When Hugh Hefner died, his magical force field went away, and all these perverts, like Louis C.K.,
but
all these things.
As you said, it's all allegations, and I think that's the dangerous part, is that people are up and
yeah.
Let me clearly say this shit. If you accuse somebody of something, that's one thing. Fine, that person should be able to represent themselves and defend their name. Now, if you say somebody did something and they're not going to be able to defend themselves, they're not going to be able to basically go to court and argue it out, or I don't know the terminology, but motherfuckers go to court and they do shit. So if you're not going to be able to go to court and defend yourself and people are going to hang you out to dry, it's like, what the hell? What kind of system is that?
Well, that's the court of public opinion these days.
That's a fucking scary, dangerous thing.
Yeah, it's hard. If somebody makes an allegation against you, depending on the type of allegation it is, you almost have no recourse.
It's like, I always think about it like this, man. I would rather somebody say I murdered somebody than sexually assaulted them. Because murder, they'd be like, all right. But if it's
you got mad.
But if it's like sexual assault, they're like, kill him.
Yep.
They'd be like, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Kill him.
You know what's funny? I was
pitchforks and shit.
I was listening to Joe Rogan today, and he was talking. He was like, all these people talking about all these crazy sexual allegations and shit. He goes, Joey Diaz held somebody up at gunpoint with a machine gun, with armed kidnapping, and you know what they say about him? He was so crazy. He held somebody against their will with a machine gun, and people are like, he's crazy. He's a nice guy though. But you get one girl who says, "Oh, he jerked off in front of me. He's a monster."
But she liked it because you were there.
Even if she didn't. I mean, it's such a weird thing. And I get the whole power complex thing where people feel like they have, they're under somebody's control because they're famous or they're rich or whatever. But and this is only going based on what I understand from the Louis C.K. situation. If he invites you to his house, and and you're single, and he's single, you have to have some kind of idea of what may occur, right?
And there's alcohol, right, and drugs, and
if he did
cocaine.
not, and even if there is that, even if he didn't, if he's like, hey, and according to what he said, he asked them all. He asked them all. He's like, can I show you my dick? If you said yes, and he did it, you are now responsible for that because you allowed him to. Just like they say.
That's what I say.
Right? This whole thing of no personal responsibility really annoys me. Where if you get drunk and you kill somebody with a car, you can't say, well, I was under the influence. I'm not responsible. I wasn't me.
You blame the bar.
Right? Yep. But if you get drunk and you're with somebody else who's drunk and you bang and then the girl decides that she was, remorseful about it, she can claim she was raped.
Yep.
But that's not okay because it's not rape. It's just a bad decision that you made. And we all make those bad decisions. We all have a time where we're like, we have too much to drink and we do something we don't like or we regret in the morning. But guess what? We made that choice. We have to hold ourselves responsible. We can't blame somebody else.
There was
Am I crazy saying that?
A mutual friend of ours one time said this at the gym. I won't say his name. But he was like, because I forgot what somebody said. He was like, yeah, you just got to dip out in the morning after sex. He's like, no, you don't do that. He's like, that's how you get a case. That's how you get accused of rape. He's like, yo, in the morning you gotta take him to brunch and all this shit. He's like, you gotta be there. You can't just leave.
That's amazing.
He was poking fun, but I was like, you're actually right.
Yeah.
Because I don't even like the fact that we're talking about this because it creeps me out that this is the conversation that we have to have. But it is a conversation that I've spoke about with people on a serious note. It's like, you got to be careful nowadays. One, you got to be careful just about people in general.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm in a relationship. I'm not single and shit, but I'm just saying. It's like, you got to be careful of that too, because if you, let's say you just, for some reason, she just didn't like how you said goodbye or some shit or something. I'm like, what the fuck?
She didn't even say he raped me. He took advantage of me.
I'm like,
I felt unsafe.
And that's a whole shit storm that's about to fall.
Yep.
It's like, that's a scary thought.
And all it takes is one post on Facebook, one post on Instagram, one post on Twitter, one person to see it, to retweet it, and it fucks. It can potentially fuck everything. And once you're accused of something like that, it's whether they do scientific tests to prove that you're right, people are going to remember that and they're going to associate you with that. And
that's what I say. I'd rather be accused of murder.
Yeah, me too. To be honest, I'd much rather be accused of murder than any kind of sexual assault.
Yep.
Because, I mean, even worse than that, pedophilia. Imagine you're accused of pedophilia.
Hey, watch my kid. Fuck your kid.
Fuck your kid. You watch your kid. I ain't watching no one's kid.
Your kid.
Fuck you.
Kid's gonna die.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking put your kid in the closet and not let him out. I'll wait till you get back. That's crazy.
We live in a fucked up world now.
It's weird. It's so strange.
I saw a post about a teacher he was tutoring a group of girls, and he was like, he said something like, "Good job, girls," or some shit like that. Now he's on administrative leave because one of those girls was saying, "I'm a boy." I'm like, what? So because he didn't know, and he apologized to the parent, he's like, "I didn't know," but because of that, they're trying to fire him and come up with charges because there's in certain I forgot what state he was in. There's a state or certain states that now have
misgendering laws.
Gendering laws. And I'm like, what? Like,
see,
it's fucking crazy.
Again, these are things that
scientifically, there's only two sexes, male and female.
There's an X and Y chromosome.
Period.
Right. And I had this conversation with some old coworkers. I may have mentioned on the first couple podcasts.
Old man Pete?
No. This was
Uncle Willie?
No, this was talking about that, and and again, no disrespect to anybody who feels that they're not the sex that they were born or the gender they were born, but you say you feel one way.
I'm not born in a tax bracket I wanted to be born in.
Right. But it's like, they say,
I wish I was born rich.
When you ask somebody who says they're a trans person, and they say, how do you know? And they say, I feel it. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to discount how you feel because people feel all kinds of ways. Mm-hmm. But how can you prove it? How do you prove that? How do you prove it? It's like, you can feel. I mean, there's a guy on the train who believes he feels he's Jesus Christ.
Yep.
He's crazy. We call him crazy. But we can't call you crazy. I mean, not that I want to, not that it affects me, not that I want you to feel bad. But like, if you're gonna say you're something, how do you prove it?
Yo, I had a conversation with somebody, and they were like, because we were talking about a similar thing, and I was like, okay, and they were, they getting all riled up about like trans.
I love and hate that at the same time.
But check it, they were pro trans, and I'm like, I don't care who's who.
I'm pro trans. If you want to be that way, be that way. It's not. It doesn't. I want you to be happy, but if you're gonna say something is true and factual, I need you to prove it to me.
That's what I'm saying. So I was like, it's all bullshit, right? And they were like, no, it's this and that. I was like, okay, so take a look at and this is me talking to that person. I was like, take a look at Rachel Dolcier or
Dolezal.
Yeah, and I was like, she is now classified as transgender. The person I was talking to was like,
you mean transracial?
Yo, sorry, transracial. And the person I was talking to was like, what? That's bullshit. And I was like, exactly. I was like, if you're going to sit there and call bullshit on transracial, call bullshit on transgender. It's the same fucking shit.
I agree. But there's also that thing of people saying, well, she's a white woman trying to disguise herself as a black person.
She feels black.
Right. Can she prove it? Prove to me you feel black.
Can someone prove that they feel like a woman or a man?
She got a perm.
You know?
Is that racist? I don't know. Is that racist against white people? I'm just saying, I think my stance is the same. Do whatever makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting anybody. So if you are a woman,
yourself,
right? If you're a woman, no, you can hurt yourself all you want. I don't give a shit. If you were born a woman and you say you feel like a man, that's perfectly fine. You want to dress like a man, perfectly fine. You want to do the operation, fine. That's fine. But prove to me that you were born in the wrong body. Just show me, and I am 100% willing to change my opinion if science can prove it.
Show me Carfax.
If science can say, oh, this part of the brain and this part of your DNA, we can tell there was a problem during birth or whatever, during pregnancy, and this should have been this. I'm like, all right, cool. Science, I believe it. Right on. But I have no reason to believe you just because you feel away. Sometimes I feel like I should punch people in the face.
Some people feel that the earth is flat. Can't prove that shit.
Prove it.
It's a bunch of dumb motherfuckers out there.
But nowadays, like we said about our society, we live in such a weird society where like if you say prove it, that's taken as an aggressive stance to have. Like prove it. I want to know why.
You're hostile. Like, no, I'm not. I'm just asking facts.
I'm just asking. If you get upset, if you're talking to somebody about a social issue or something like this, which it is, and you say, well, prove it to me. And they're just like, well, why? It's moral. No, prove it to me. Prove to me morals exist. What's morals? People used to believe morals were based on religion. I don't believe morals are based on religion. So prove it to me. And people get really upset. I was
watching a video yesterday. It was like a short video. And I've seen the guy before. But he's like some goth guy who goes on these rants. But he's also a musician. So, anyways, he was talking about something. He was talking about God, how God in the Bible is really Satan, right? And he was saying like all this destructive. This is just his opinions on it. I think he's an atheist after all, but he was just saying like comparing all these things that happened in the Bible and how they're really like evil shit. Like people had to kill their sons and all this stuff. And he goes on. He was like, what really make? He's like, and then he talked about like people in church speaking in tongues and all this stuff, and he's like, but what makes you feel this? What makes you think this is true? Period. And it goes back to what we were just saying. It was like there's nothing to back up your beliefs. It's just because you believe something doesn't make it true and doesn't make it right.
Exactly.
And it was like I have my own opinions on religion and higher power and whatever that may be, but I just like I say, man, I see how things are going in society, and I don't even think like our future is going to be grim. I just think our future is going to be fucking twisted, and people are going to look back and they be like, yeah, this was a crazy time in history.
Or even worse, they're going to look back and say we did the right thing.
How? We don't know. We just don't know.
I'm just afraid of the lack of freedom we have to talk, because I think one of the best things that we have as just humanity is our ability to communicate with each other. And what our country has done historically was make it possible for us to have an open dialogue.
Freedom of speech.
Right. And it's important for us to be able to talk about things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and me have had discussions where we don't agree on stuff.
Yep.
And it's only through that kind of interaction that you see a different perspective or that you have your mind change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a process of enlightenment when you speak to somebody who's either smarter or not smart as you, but you have a difference of opinion and you can argue and discuss and debate. And I don't think that's going to last much longer in our country. Just by the way things are going and how sensitive everybody is, and everybody's afraid to have their feelings hurt. It's so I get my feelings hurt every day. I mean, one way or another, whether it's intentional or not.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I'm not dead. And this idea that words are violence is retarded. And yes, retarded is a real word. Retarded means
I use it all
to
the time.
slow the progress. I said retarded recently, not at work, but amongst friends, and somebody got
People
mad.
don't say, oh, fuck you. You're
Yeah, fuck you. I'm like, retarded is a real word. It's a real word. You know what it means when something's not going right, when it's going badly, when it's going in reverse. Oh, I said that Trump's retarding our country.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, that's not a good word to say. I'm like, yeah, but it's a real word. If you look up the word retard, to retard something means the slowing down of progress.
not like...
I'm like, do you agree that Trump is retarding the progress of America? Yes. Then it's slowing down the progress of America. She's like, yes. Then it's the retardation of America. Just because there's some people who are mentally retarded doesn't make it a bad word. It's a factual word. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And your feelings of that word do not impact the validity of that word.
I still use it.
Yeah, I use it all the time. And I do it now to see if it makes somebody uncomfortable. Now I do it to spite people. Which is maybe not the best thing, but this is what happens when you put limits on what words people can say. They do it just to make you upset.
But speaking on what you were just saying about the communication part, social media fucked us up in a major way. I don't even know how to compare it to anything.
Everybody's got an opinion now.
It's like,
and not only does everybody have an opinion, everybody can see the opinion.
but it's not just the fact that they have the opinion, but they have a shield to hide under.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, I think that's what's worse. It's like, instead of just saying what you want to say, like, say it to me. Like, talk to me. You got a problem with me? Say it to my fucking face. Like you say as a kid, say it to my face. Don't put it online. Like,
right. And there's a whole different
people don't.
Yeah, there's a whole different social interaction when you say something to somebody's face. You see, when you say something hurtful to somebody, you can see it on their face.
Yeah.
And that has a reaction in you. And you're like, oh, I feel bad. I shouldn't have said that. It's a shame thing. Sebastian Junger was on Joe Rogan's podcast recently, and he wrote a book called Tribe. And he actually has some really interesting ideas on what's going on with our society, and bases it around the fact that we as a society no longer cling to each other for support. We're all independent. We use the internet and our phones as a way to communicate, and we don't have a tribal experience where, you know, I need to rely on you and you need to rely on me for survival.
That's fucking obvious.
Right, and he points to things after like 9/11, when people were much happier right after because we all came together to help each other to get through something that's
Black
very
people
traumatic.
weren't attacked.
Right.
I remember that shit.
They
I was in Texas.
They weren't the enemy.
They weren't the enemy.
They
felt good.
They were part of the country. They were right.
For once.
Yep.
For like a month.
It felt like everybody was the same.
Nobody was fucking.
You were Americans, right? You were Americans.
It was a good feeling.
Yeah. And he points to that. And he goes, there are things like that you see. He says you see it in you know, in places where there's still very close, like third world countries where people are still relying on each other. And he had you guys should check it out. It's his latest episode that he was on, Jerry, and his book Tribe is really good. Talks about mass shootings. It's not in the book, but he spoke about it, and he said that he was looking at mass shootings in places where it takes place, and it never takes place in urban communities.
Vegas.
No, urban communities. Like Las Vegas is a tourist area.
Still urban. I lived there.
No, like poor urban communities.
Oh, the
like,
hood.
Right. You never go to the hood and you never see somebody shoot up their own community.
No, it's a drive-by gang shit.
Right, but that's different. That has a political type of thing where you're fighting over turf, where you're fighting over drugs, money. Like that's a motivational thing. But like these mass killings where some kid just goes into a school and shoots up his school, that has no motive. Like there's no benefit to him doing it. There's no profit to him doing it. And all these, and he was saying that it's a sign of a sick community. All the communities where they happen are white communities. Like the shooters come from white communities with money, typically Christian. And you know, he says that look at the dynamic: white rich community, Christian, compared to a poor Black Hispanic community with no money. Almost no mass shootings happen in the poor communities, and they all come from rich communities. And he goes, that's probably because when you're in a poor community, you know the people in your neighborhood. You talk to them. You run into them at the supermarket. You have conversations. You probably go to the bar together. You probably go to each other's houses for dinner. It's a tighter-knit community. Maybe not as tight-knit as it was 30 years ago, but, you walk down your block, you know the guy at the bodega, you know the guy.
You're in a struggle together.
Right. You know the guy who sits by his car, plays music. You know the guy who's at the coffee shop. You know the guy who's at whatever. The guy who's selling the ices. It's part of you know them. Yeah. And oftentimes these people live in the same neighborhood their whole lives. So if you're poor, you grew up in a poor neighborhood, you live there your whole life, you all grew up together, you see people die. It's a community. As were these other neighborhoods, big houses, space between them, you don't really interact a lot. Typically medication like
prescription drugs.
Yeah, antipsychotics and antidepressants are higher in communities where these mass shooters come from, as opposed to poor communities that don't get to prescribe those in higher doses. Where in poor communities you have more things like cocaine problems, heroin, which are their own set of problems. Yeah. But those problems don't result in mass shootings of innocent people.
Mass terrorist attacks.
Well, yeah. Well, it depends. Mass terrorist, like a mass shooting, a guy who's on pills. It's not for me. That's not terrorism because there's no agenda behind it.
Maybe there was, and you just died.
But like the Columbine shooting, I wouldn't consider that a terrorism attack. There was no political agenda or religious agenda behind it.
They just did it.
They were just a bunch of fucking psychos.
Like Sandy Hook.
I would consider them serial killers because there's no motive. They don't do it because they want to further their political ideals of white power. They don't do it because they want the Bible to be heard more. They don't do it in the name of Jesus. They do it because they're a bunch of fucking psychos. Jeffrey Dahmer. There was just this whole special on him on TV that I watched. He killed 19 people in his murder career.
The kids, right?
No, this was just random young black dudes he was killing.
It was Jeffrey. Yeah, didn't he eat them too?
He ate some of them. He ate some of their biceps and shit. Kept them in freezers and stuff. He wasn't a terrorist. He was a serial killer. He killed people because he enjoyed doing it. So for me, when people say terrorist, I think, okay, were they affiliated with a political group? Were they
political or religious?
A religious group that had some kind of violent motive, extremisms, of all kinds. That's for me a terrorist.
So what about the guy in Vegas? We still don't know what the fuck that was about.
Right, we don't know what his motives are. He could have just been a psycho. He could have been a rich dude with lots of guns and lots of money and said, fuck it, I want to do some crazy shit.
Or it could have been a drone.
That's for another episode, ladies and gentlemen. But, if it came out that he did it because, he was radicalized by something, then yeah, I'd be willing to call him a terrorist. But if he's just a dude that wanted to kill a bunch of people, it doesn't matter where he did it. It's just fucked up. But for me, that's not terrorism. That's just fucking psycho.
I don't want to live through anything like that, man. I hope I don't get the experience. I experienced enough violence growing up. I don't want to see no shit like that. I mean, I experienced on that scale.
I experienced 9/11, and that was, for those who are listening who may not know me, I born and raised in New York my whole life. My uncle died in 9/11. It was a very close to home event. Yeah. It was very odd. And I guess it's been so long now that it's kind of just like whatever in my mind. But, I've never been to the new World Trade Center. Wow. I don't want to go into that.
Do you go downtown?
I try not to. I see it from, when I worked in Soho. I would see it when I'd walk down West Broadway. I have zero desire to go into that building.
Oh, we went to Wolfgang's. That was about the closest.
Yeah, that's about the closest. Yeah. And even then, if let's say I got offered a really high paying job to work there in that building, I would say no. I don't want to be in that building. I just it's one of those things. I don't want to say I'm traumatized by it, but it's definitely something that's always in my mind. And whenever I see the building, I'm like, that building shouldn't even be there to begin with. Yeah. And the fact that it is there, for me, it's in my mind, it's just a new target. It's just something else that they can.
They should just left it as a park.
Yeah, they should just left it a big ass open park, a monument to everybody who died. Just one big, having another park doesn't hurt in New York City, in my opinion.
Yeah, they didn't need to put the building up.
They didn't have to. No. Or make it a smaller building.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else you want to talk about? What else we got going on? Oh, So I want to do a video for us for the Chico and the Grin podcast.
Okay.
So our website's pretty simple. You know, we're a pretty simple operation.
Yep.
We don't even have an intro for our episodes really.
Bing, 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 bing,
Right?
bing, bing,
We should work on that. But I want to get a bio video on both of us. So like I need to up my video production knowledge.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do is
Are you gonna edit?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the whole thing from beginning to end. I'm gonna do the whole thing. I'm gonna get some gear. So I was thinking maybe we could do it on your girlfriend's balcony since it faces downtown.
Ooh, the fancy shit.
Right. So I can get you sitting on the ledge or something, or us there,
Yeah.
and I'll do a quick bio of us, like like interest, like my name's Sean Smalls, blah, I'm blah blah. And this whole who are you, like a personality intro, and then I'll do one for me, and I'll edit them together, and we'll have two videos or one video, and we can put them right in our bio. Is like Chico and the Grin.
That's cool.
This is us, and we can just it could be 2-3 minute video.
That's cool.
But it's one for us, and two so that I can get my video editing chops up a little bit.
Okay. I haven't fucked with video in a while, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some stuff from work. If I can't get, I was thinking about getting a Canon C100, which is like a cinema camera.
Yeah.
If I can't get that, then I'll just do it on my 5D Mark III, and I'm getting the Zoom recorder because we're gonna start doing alternating the podcast.
I don't know what that is.
The
task track like a
Tascam.
Tascam.
So I can use that. I can get a lavalier mic.
Shit. I'm gonna have to go up to the heights. Huh?
Yeah, you're like 2 stops away. Come on, what is that? And then we can go get Spanish food afterwards.
Oh yeah.
That's right. We can make a day of it. All right.
That's a good idea.
I think it's gonna be good. I think.
Ooh, could we record at Tyron's Public House?
It's loud in there.
Nah, never mind.
We'd have to do it like in the afternoon.
Okay.
I went there on Tuesday for lunch, and it was dead. It was just me and the bartender. It was quiet. That'd probably be a good time to do it, but you have to work on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm actually off next week.
Oh snap!
Fuck yeah! I got a
The whole
family.
week?
Yeah. Well, I was off. They gave us off, Thursday and Friday, Thanksgiving. So I just took off the first 3 days and just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna take off a week."
I'll be at work on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, man. Oh, the day?
Mm-hmm. I volunteered for it. Extra money.
Man.
Get that
Fuck
paper,
it.
player.
Yeah, man. Get that money.
All right. Anything else you want to close out with?
No, I'm good. We talked about a lot.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to episode number 11. As always, we thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
Please follow us on social media,
Yes.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yes.
Um,
Chico and the Grin.
Chico and the Grin podcast. Give us a like on iTunes, Google Play, on whatever app you use. You can find us.
You know what? When you're listening and you like the show, leave a review.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, don't just like it, but
Leave a review.
yeah,
Tell us
leave
what you
something
think.
on iTunes or
Yeah,
Google
let it-
Play.
Yeah, let us know what you think about it. We'd love to see your reviews.
Yeah, we're always changing and evolving and learning. And if there's any art shows out there that y'all want us to come and just check out and we'll talk about it, interview you,
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
on that too.
all right. This is Chico and the Grin signing off until next time.
Peace.
Later.